Welcome back, everyone, to Radiant Resilience. I'm so excited for this conversation today. I have with me Dr. Sue McCreadie. Dr. Sue is a holistic pediatrician and midlife transformation expert who helps women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s navigate hormones, heartbreak, and healing so they can stop settling and start living with joy. Her mission is to make transformation simple, soulful, and even fun because when women rise, we raise the vibration of the world for our children. I love that right
Mm.
now. Welcome, Dr. Sue. How are you?
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Tawny. So fun to be
Yeah.
here.
Thanks so much for being here. I'm very excited. I feel like a lot of the topics we're going to cover today are going to be very helpful for everyone listening. So I would love for you to start with your own personal journey, and I'm going to let you take the lead on that and wherever you want to start with that, and then we will continue on.
Okay, I think most people ask what I'm a doctor of. So I am a doctor of pediatrics. Then the next question people usually ask are like, how is it that you're coaching midlife women
Mhm.
in their 40s, 50s, and 60s? And I think my biggest answer to that is I just following the breadcrumbs, right? Like I'm just
Mm.
following my passion. And so the discipline of medicine that I'm into is holistic based medicine. I actually think it's very full circle now that I'm in the kind of coaching arena because I went into medicine thinking I wanted to be a psychiatrist.
Oh.
And the word psychiatrist stems from physician of the soul. I think it's in Greek, means
Ooh.
physician of the soul. And I'm
Okay.
like, ooh, I want to be a physician of the soul, don't you, Tawny? Look,
Yeah.
like you leaned in. You're like,
Yeah, I
that
love
sounds
that.
really cool. And so when I went through medical training and I went on my psych rotation, I was like, I didn't have that language, physician of the soul, but it did not resonate with being a physician of the soul. It felt like a lot of medical management to me.
Mm.
So I ended up doing pediatrics because I love children. Like children make me a better person for sure. When I'm around kids, I light up. Some people it's with pets, like I'm with babies. I like see a baby and I'm just like,
Yeah.
ah. And so I became a pediatrician. And through that practice, I started getting in medical school. I was introduced to alternative medicine by a friend who asked me to do an alternative medicine rotation with him. And I said, okay, how about I'll do that with you and you do this pediatric neurosurgery rotation with me.
Oh.
And yeah, exactly. Huh. But the woman who was the head of it, it was all because I thought she was an amazing mentor. She
Mm.
was just a powerful woman who was just very kind bedside manner. People would mistake her for the janitor. She'd pick up the phone. I loved her. And I was like, wow, I want to emulate that of how you are. And so he did that rotation with me. He became a neurosurgeon
Oh, wow.
and I did the holistic rotation with him, and I became an alternative medicine practitioner. I think
That's funny.
isn't that funny? I
Yeah.
feel like that is such a story of like crossings. It wasn't like we were like deep besties or whatever. It was just like, hey, you want to do this? Hey, you want to do that? And it was like us introducing each other to another world that
Yeah.
we both fell in love with. So I think that's just another beautiful story of like divine crossing and following the breadcrumbs. Okay,
Yes.
that sounds interesting. I guess so. So I fell in love with alternative medicine from my rotation, but pediatrics and all medical rotations, like they don't leave a lot of time for extras,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, they
So
say doctors work a lot of hours and
took a lot of hours, a lot of sleep deprivation, and it's good.
Mm.
I'm really thankful for all of my training. But it was my fourth year, my I stayed on as a chief resident that I got to explore a lot of alternative healing modalities and just fell in love with it. And so when I finished, I knew that I wanted to really help children heal
Mm.
the origin, like more of the root issue
Yeah.
rather than treating symptoms and putting band-aids on them. I really didn't know a lot about what I was doing. That was 23 years ago. It wasn't like
Yeah.
people went into practice on their own. So I think most of my mentors were like, that's crazy.
And the holistic healing stuff wasn't real popular back then. It's become a lot
No.
more popular now and has a lot more research behind it now. But 20 years ago,
Hmm.
that was not the way that the medical world was.
Not at all. And yeah, you think about it now, like everybody is on a probiotic. Like you get probiotics at the drugstore, like they're everywhere. But back then it was a thing. Like
Yeah.
cod liver and probiotics. That's like what I always started with. It's amazing how much those two things will just help in
Yeah.
general. And so off I went on my journey, and through that journey and process, obviously I've met thousands of women, moms, and been with them in very painful places, because that is a very tender place to be when your child is suffering. And in that process, the women were asking me, like, how can you help me, Dr. Sue? What about me? What
Oh,
can you do?
yeah. I feel like that was my childhood pediatrician. My mom
Yeah.
loved him so much. She was just like, can you just be my doctor too? So I wonder if that's really common when you see someone helping your children.
Mm.
I wonder if there's like some psychological thing behind that.
Yeah, I mean, it does. It feels comforting, right? Like you feel taken care of, you feel supported. And so I went on a journey of figuring out how I could do that, because I really am not in love with the physical medicine for adults. So I was like, ooh, it's cuter when you're a kid.
Yeah, for sure.
It's going to stick in the baby version of that.
Yeah.
And so I just started following breadcrumbs of doing nutrition with women initially. And I've actually had 4 other businesses for
Oh, wow.
helping women. And this is my 5th one. It's the final, it's the
Okay.
finale.
Yeah.
I finally landed on coaching, which is funny because I really love coaching. I think I hired my first coach probably 7 years ago. And when we started, I said, all I know, because it's about identity, right? I knew there was something else here to do besides pediatrics, but I just couldn't figure it out. I was like, by that time, I already tried a few different things. And I said, all I know is I don't want to be a coach like you.
Mm.
I said, all I know for one thing is I don't want to be a coach like you. Isn't that funny?
That
I was
is
like,
fun.
there's one thing I know I do not, which is just clear of why it's so important, I think, for getting
Mhm.
coaching,
Yeah.
is because a lot of the things that you think, you can't believe what you always think, because
Mhm.
there's a lot of non-truths in there, right? There's a
Yeah.
lot of limiting or protective beliefs of protecting yourself.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, the first time I finished with a client, I texted my original coach and I was like, rah! And both of us are laughing, smiling. Of course, you love it. And
Yeah.
now, what I really feel like it is like being a physician of the soul.
Yeah.
It very much feels like that's what I'm doing. I'm helping the soul heal in this lifetime. I am a pediatrician, but I'm working with women who I'm really helping them heal their inner child,
Mm.
heal that part of them that didn't receive love in the way that they needed during their childhood, because none of us do. It's an impossible job,
Yeah.
motherhood. It's an
Yeah.
impossible job.
And being a hairdresser, I feel like I have so many women in that age range, definitely 40s
Mm,
and 50s right now, who are heavily struggling with the perimenopause and the menopause stuff as well. And I
mm,
think that's playing like a huge role. Not only are their children, they're becoming empty nesters and stuff like that, but also then they're dealing with the hormonal aspect of it too. And that plays such a role in I think, our overall mental health as well, too.
for sure. I feel that midlife is really a second adolescence. I mean, we've all
Oh.
gone through adolescence, right? What do you think of when you think of adolescence, when you were like, oh, yeah, like what was that? What do you think of?
I don't know. I guess just like relearning life again. Like you don't know life when you're that young. You're just going
Mm.
about your day. And I think especially when you've had kids and you have raised them for 18 years, then you have to try to figure out like who you are and what you're doing and what your next purpose is because there's still 40, 30, 40 more years to live. So
Yeah, I feel like a big part of adolescence to me, first of all, there's so many hormonal changes. So, like at the physical
yes.
level, it feels super stretchy and uncomfy. I don't
Mm,
remember how you felt, but how I felt was like I feel literally uncomfortable in my body. Like I feel like it's not quite right. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Until you get over that hump and you're like, oh, here I am. And then
Yeah.
you're more like radiating, right? It's okay. This is me.
Yeah.
And so I feel like going through midlife or menopause, perimenopause, very similar. There's times where you're like, is this my body? This cannot be my body. This does
Hmm.
not feel right. This feels
Yeah.
too like squishy. Like, where did this come from? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
Things like that. And it does bring up a lot of emotions, hormones in general, but also just shifting your identity is another big thing. Like in adolescence, right? You're figuring out like, who am I? What am I going to do in this world? Or like one of my daughters says, how am I going to earn money? That's one of her questions. How am I going to provide for myself? What am I going to do? And so I feel like midlife is very similar, right? Because your identity is usually shifting. Like maybe it's the kids, like maybe the kids don't quote unquote need you anymore like they did.
Mhm.
They've left the home. Maybe it's also that you're done with your first career and maybe you're like shifting out or into another career or maybe a passion project of something that you really like. You find that a lot in midlife, like the midlife crisis. I don't even like this. I want to do this. And
Yeah.
so shifting your roles about what you do. So a lot of identity shifting, I
Mm,
feel like happens, and a lot of different relationships. Like when you think about adolescence in terms of relationships, right? Like you may have had really good friends, but it's the first time that you're really probably experiencing intimacy, like
yeah.
with another and vulnerability on another
Mm,
level.
yeah.
Yeah. And so I feel like that's also happening in midlife in your 40s, 50s, and 60s. Like you may actually be getting more vulnerable with yourself. Who am I really? Why am I really here? I thought I wanted this,
Yeah.
but do I really?
Yeah.
Or maybe like something that you really wanted never happened. And so you're like, okay, who am I without that? I thought I was this, but I can't be that, quote unquote. Or can I? I don't know. Maybe it looks different. And so I
Yeah.
feel like there's a lot of identity shifting that
So
happens.
much. Is that what you would think or would say that the like root cause of a midlife crisis is? I'm assuming that you work with a lot of midlife crises now that
I
with your
think
coaching.
the root cause of midlife crisis, if you want to say, is unhealed wounds in childhood,
Yeah.
where you're finally ready to be like, okay, I guess I get to figure that out. And not that it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. It's like discovering who you truly are without this, that, or the other thing. Like when you strip it all away, who are you really? And the process of that, like Eric Erickson is in the psychology world, set out developmental stages that we all go through in childhood. And it's impossible to go through every stage and win every time. Like
Yeah.
the stage of independence or the stage of there's all these things that we're to do and learn and understand. And fundamentally, it's impossible for us to meet every stage. So we go back. I feel like the root is just go back and give yourself what you need. If you didn't feel seen, acknowledge yourself.
Mm.
If you didn't feel safety, like how can you soothe and give yourself safety now? If you
Do you,
didn't feel, yeah,
do you think that more people are recognizing that now? Because I just remember like when I was younger and my parents would talk about people having midlife crises, it was always this big dramatic like explosion of their life. Or there was always the joke that the men would buy fancy cars or whatever.
yeah.
But then some people just absolutely blew up their lives at that time period. And so I'm wondering if that's still happening like that, or if people are recognizing that it's more just like unhealed trauma and maybe feeling like they didn't do all the things that they wanted to do by this point in life, or what do you find with
Hmm.
all that?
I think with those things, like whether it's a car or a home or whatever it is, that's usually like a vehicle to meet one of your core needs that
Okay.
isn't feeling met, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. So, like the core needs are we all have a need for safety, like for certainty that we're going to experience more comfort,
Hmm.
more pleasure than pain. But if
Yeah.
we're always certain about life, like life becomes boring. So we also have a need for variety. Like, how do things get to be different? How do we get to spice this thing up? Then we have the need for significance, which is being seen and heard, recognized, different, special. Like, how are we unique, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or needed in this world. And the fourth is love and connection. So being unconditionally accepted, but also belonging to
Mhm.
something.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
the last two needs are really the needs of the spirit, which is growth, like expansion
Mm.
of mental, emotional, spiritual mastery, per se.
Mhm.
Not that we ever can fully master. And then the last is the need for contribution of giving back, right?
Yeah.
And I think whatever vehicles, whatever we're doing, that's called six human needs psychology. I learned that from Tony Robbins. I think that whatever we're doing, even this, Tawny, for you, is filling a need for you. If you think of those needs, like what is this beautiful, radiant, resilient,
Mhm.
podcast providing? Like, how is it meeting your needs?
Yeah, it meets my needs a lot, actually. I was I
Yeah.
was just telling you before we hit record that I've learned so much from all of these interviews I
Mhm.
have done, and I feel like it's helped me work through my healing process. Just hearing other people's stories and how they've gone through it and healed from it and processed it and everything like that. Yeah,
Yeah. So
it's
I feel like this
definitely.
is an empowering vehicle for you. It's
Yeah.
good for you, it's good for others, it's good for the greater good.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
this is like an amazing vehicle that allows you to feel like you're certain you're going to have more pleasure than pain show up, right?
Yeah.
It's all there's so much variety in it. You never quite
Yeah.
know what's going to show up during live. Like you said, like we don't prep, we're just like turn the camera on, let's
Yep.
go, right?
Yep.
And there it's absolutely being seen, right? It's a way to be seen and heard, not only for you and what you have to say, but what for the conversation that we create together and for other people. Love and connection, like absolutely it's meeting love and connection
Yeah.
for the listeners, for us. Growth, I bet you've grown a ton from when you started this,
This is
like so
true.
many, right? In so
Yes.
many ways. And it's all about contribution. Like it's 1,000%. Like your original intention was all about contribution. It wasn't like, I need this to heal. You were like, this could be a great thing for healing. Let's give it a
Yeah.
shot and it will help others. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? When something meets your need at a very high level in numerous buckets, like 3 or more buckets of the 6, it becomes like an addiction in a good way.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
it
Good addiction.
yeah, because it's fueling you. It's something
Yeah.
you always want to come back to because it meets your needs at such a high level. So getting back to your question of like, why do people like the external thing of like buying a fancy car, which I feel like is what all the men do. It's not all the men. I mean, the classic example of a
Right.
midlife crisis is like
Hmm.
a guy go gets a sports car and
Yeah.
it's fast. Which to me, if I had to guess, meets a need for significance. He's definitely going to be
Hmm.
seen and heard in that car.
That's true.
And yeah, he probably would be able to, whoever you are who just bought that car, would share with us like the other needs that it met.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the big thing is like getting underneath and seeing what needs were not met early in childhood, because we all have a huge need for children need safety.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cornerstone. They have to feel safe
Yeah.
and ideally feel love and significance that they're seen. And
Yeah.
so if those 3 core wounds, like if those 3 weren't met, we could be chasing, trying to get that met and still feeling unfulfilled in the process. Does
Yeah.
that make sense? So I think that's
Yeah.
like the core of what's
Mhm.
underneath it.
Yeah, that's tough. So do you feel like people are recognizing that more these days?
In my sphere, because that's who I hang out with, I would say for sure.
Yeah.
And curious, like I think a
Mm.
lot of women, it's uncomfortable, right? It can feel uncomfortable to
Yeah.
feel these feelings. And also we get to feel to heal. That is how we emotions are energy in motion. They get to move and express out of us. So like when they're inside, I'm sure you might have probably experienced that some on your healing journey.
Yeah, there were so many times that I thought I was like processing and healing. And then my husband and I travel a lot, and we would go on a big trip where everything would be forced to get quiet all around me. And
Hmm.
I was like, oh no, I was not processing at all, because then it would all come
Mm,
in, and because everything else, I think it's easy. I don't know how you feel about this after all the people you've worked with, but I think it's easy in this life that we're living in to just distract ourselves and
absolutely.
not like I do the journaling in the morning, and I do the meditation, and I do therapy, and I do all the things, and I read all the books. But
Mm,
then you get caught up in work and family and friends and like all the things, and then we live in a very busy world, and so busy and loud, and it's hard to quiet it down, I think, when you're doing your everyday routine. So for me, when I have gone on trips and stuff like that is when it's gotten quiet and I don't
mm,
have the distractions anymore, and it all settles in. It has been interesting to me to see when I think that I'm processing the emotions and letting going through them and stuff, that I'm not actually doing it. And I don't even realize it a lot of the time. It is something I've had to learn to recognize through my healing journey for sure.
I think that's one of the most important things that you said is to get still, to be quiet and to be still. And we do avoid it. And and someone asked me, why do we avoid that?
Yeah.
We avoid it because we know we probably might experience some pain. Like it's uncertainty. Like we're not quite sure what's going to happen when we get still. You
Yeah.
know,
I think some of those big emotions are scary too. I recently had a conversation with someone who they were like, I'm afraid to feel the feels. And I was like, what are you afraid of? What's the worst that could happen? Which I should probably ask myself half the time. But for me on the outside looking in, I'm like, what's so scary about it? Because like you said, when you do feel it is when you process it and you go through it.
mhm.
If you don't feel it and you don't move it, you're not gonna get through it, or it's gonna be a lot harder. What do you think is the fear there of feeling those emotions?
I think it feels uncomfortable and uncertain. It
Mm,
feels out of control. It
mm,
feels, I think the hallucination, like our mind thinks that it's never going to end. And I always remind people there is a bottom. Like it will stop. Like when you allow it, like it will become quiet again. And not that you won't ever experience that again,
yeah.
but that way, like it's almost like you bring it in close rather the more you push it away, it's actually not protecting you like you think it is. You
Mm,
think it's protecting you to keep it away, but you're actually walling off joy in the process because it's
mm.
all a flip coin.
Yeah, but it is scary. It is hard. And you don't want to just be, I think it is also scary to fall into the depression state too and not know if you're going to come back out of that too when it's really
Hmm.
stuff.
Yeah, and I just recently went through that.
Mm,
Depression is my go-to. It definitely is wired well in my brain because all of these things are patterns. It's not us. Like
mm,
it's a pattern that we've developed that has worked for us, that has protected us for a
mm,
period of time. Anyways, the pattern for that for me really came through on my journey to motherhood, which I experienced a ton of loss and multiple miscarriages and anger and rage at God. I would definitely say anger at God. I think I've only experienced rage for the first time in my 50s, like more recently.
Really?
Yeah. My husband, he came home from work. I was like, hun, I felt rage for the first time. He's like, wow, congratulations. Yeah. And I think that's the thing is like we are not our emotions. We're not
Yeah.
our thoughts. They're just
Yeah.
patterns. And so if we can create some level of separation and just say, oh, there I go again, that's that pattern.
Mm,
My pattern of depression recently came up recently for good reason. Like my dad just physically passed from this world.
I'm so sorry.
And he had a most beautiful, gorgeous, rich, abundant love story life
Mm,
possible. And also, I'm human. Oh, that part is now gone.
yeah.
And so it felt like a loss. Depression, when we feel sad, we feel it's a sense of loss that we're feeling. And so to get to your point, Tawny, it came up again, that pattern of depression. And my very first thing was like, is this ever going to end? I just didn't want to
Mm,
stay here. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I really worked to like take the time, be still, like feel the feels. I didn't load my schedule a lot.
Mm,
When I felt myself trying to distract, I was like, nope, I'm not going to distract from it. You know
mm,
what I mean? I was just pull it in. What does that have to say? What do I get to learn? And we can do that in all different ways. It sounds like you do some journaling. I
mm,
journal, meditate, go for walks, listen to
mm.
podcasts that help me process. Movies are great. If you're like, I just can't feel it, let's watch a movie
Yeah.
because a movie puts you in a dazed state. It puts you into your subconscious because
Yeah.
these are all things that we're working to process subconsciously.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Will you share a bit more of your story of your miscarriages, if you don't mind? Since
mm,
now I do have a decent amount of infertility listeners. I'm sure a lot of women have been through that. And I
mm,
think it's
mm,
also one of those topics that people weren't talking about for a really long time. And
mhm.
now I feel like women are being like speaking up a lot more and being like, this is happening more often than we thought. And then, but yeah, would you share that story with us?
So I've always wanted to be a mom. So that was a huge part of my claimed identity. I was like, I want that. Like I am that. Give that to me. And I devoted my life to children. That was my
Yeah.
profession.
Yeah.
And it was in this way of like when I wasn't getting it, I was pissed at God because I was like, dude, I'm like serving. Give me what I want, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
and the process. was that the first time I miscarried is completely unexpected. We got pregnant right away, but then we miscarried first trimester, like end of first trimester. That first one was just like, what is this? It was so much. I wasn't planning on that. Who's planning on that? Nobody's
Right.
planning on that.
And then we're taught very much that story of you decide you're going to want to have kids. And then you get pregnant and then you have the babies. And
Yeah,
it's in the movies, it's in books, it's just the thing. It's this
it's the
fantasy
fairy tale.
thing. Yeah. And they don't talk about the risks and the struggles. And yeah.
And so after that first miscarriage, it's like we got pregnant right away and I miscarried right away. That's what it felt like. After that first one, my doctor had said to me, it may take you a long time to get pregnant again
Oh,
because of like how my cycles were. So I have
okay.
a history of having like abnormal cycles and hormonal imbalance and things. I didn't like that answer.
Of course.
He goes, you can either take a drug to speed up the process or you can be patient. And I didn't like either of those. I
Yeah.
was like, I didn't quite feel nothing against people who decide on taking a drug. It's not against that. It's just like one vehicle. I was just really looking for what feels best for me.
Yeah.
And so I didn't like either of those answers. So my journey started with finding a different answer. And really, I don't know if it was just because I had just done acupuncture training or I was really familiar with it, but I was like, I'm going to acupuncture. And so it took me a couple tries to find the right person.
Yeah.
Meaning, I've done acupuncture and I was like, this is sterile. I think he just walked out of the room and left me cold. Like,
Mm,
not great. So I think part of that was part of the process too, of like really listening to yourself of what feels
yeah.
safe and what feels healing, what feels like I'm on the right journey. So I found a lovely physician, medical doctor who also practiced acupuncture, and that felt totally different. And she also helped me a lot in terms of she asked me to do a lot of things I didn't want to do, like
Mm.
measuring your temperature every day. And I was like, that's a PETA. And she was like, you get to compartmentalize, Sue. You know what I mean? You get to just do it and put it in that box and move on with your day. I was like, oh,
Mm.
that's a good word. I'm going to take that forward. Compartmentalize, just do it and move on. And when I started with her, I did conceive right away, but I miscarried again and I miscarried again.
Ugh.
And so I had just back to back miscarriages. And then layered on that, right, is other people getting their fairy tale, right? Like
Yep.
one of my besties calling me and being like, I'm pregnant with our second. That must have been, I've
Mm.
had the conversation with her. It's a difficult conversation to have for her and for me. And after I hung up with her, that's when I went on a real run with God and I was pissed. I was like, just F you. Like, this is BS. This
Yeah.
is like not
Yeah.
how it's supposed to be. And so obviously I didn't really win that argument. But, you know, you don't
Yeah.
win against reality. Like, reality is reality.
Yeah. It is an easy spiral to fall into though in those moments. I've been there, like not the miscarriages specifically, but like I imagine that the sentiment is the same. I don't know, I still have friends. I'm in my late 30s and I have friends in their early 40s that are getting pregnant and it is infuriating sometimes 'cause
Yes.
with the universe and God and whatever, because I'm like, what? Really? What?
Yeah.
And I find myself falling into the spiral of why not me? Why them? Why not me? What did I do wrong in this lifetime? Why am I not worthy of this huge purpose that as women we all try to do, most of us? And yeah, I don't know. It's a dark spiral for sure.
It's a
And
dark spiral. I think it's so every thought is preceded by a question. So I started asking myself really shitty questions like, why is this
Mhm.
happening to me?
Yeah.
What's wrong with me?
Mhm.
Those type of questions. And those type of questions never give you great answers.
No, they don't. They don't.
And they don't create like a great story. And so they leave you feeling really crappy.
Yep.
And
And
so like
angry.
that and angry, like that's yeah. So crappy as in sad, mad, frustrated, angry, enraged, like whatever it is, just like
Mhm.
crappy. And so that to me was a pattern that I was in. And I got to a point where I was like, got to raise above this. Like, I just called it a dark cloud of miscarriage. I was like, I have got to pierce my way through. I've got to get above it. What does
Yeah.
God see? Give me that
Yeah.
view. Like, what does God see? And I do believe God sees this is working for you. You
Mhm.
just don't know how it's working for you yet.
Yeah.
And so the next journey for me in that process was really finding a way to connect with spirit, like connecting messages, which actually came through a lot of numbers. Angel numbers is what most
Yeah.
people call them. And I started to just be open to receiving messages that brought me comfort and paying
Mhm.
attention to numbers. Like, for instance, we also had a second trimester loss that
Mm.
came after our firstborn. So I
Oh,
also wasn't expecting it. I was like, okay, we got those miscarriages behind us. Have a baby, have
yeah.
another. Nope, have a baby and another miscarriage.
Mm.
That second trimester miscarriage, that was a doozy. I think because I delivered her at home
Mm.
into the toilet and because of just the profound emotions that it brought on for everyone.
Yeah.
My sweet mother-in-law who comes over and a tail holder,
Yeah.
why I like cut my umbilical cord.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And my mom, who's in a different state, who's an emergency room nurse by training, like telling me, like, that's what you get to do. You get to cut the cord.
Mm.
And that, yeah. And then her like dealing her own emotional processing. She was like totally in her mode with me, but I understand afterwards she just wailed. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so
I
sorry.
think the beautiful thing of it is the people in the world that walk with you.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've had similar.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster in that regard. I made a lot of friends through infertility and IVF and all that stuff that went on to have
Mhm.
children, and I did not. Some of them were really wonderful in still being a support, and some just didn't know what to do after that and moved
Yeah, I can't
on. So,
handle it.
yeah.
I would say some beautiful things that happen from that experience is the nurses were
Yeah.
like angels,
Mm.
like caring for our baby and like we're gonna go take her for her fingerprints and footprints.
Oh,
I'm like,
mhm.
okay, like just as if she was alive born. And
Yeah.
that to me is just like priceless. I think the other huge painful point was when my husband and I got to leave the hospital, but not with our baby.
Yeah. Because that's not something that was part of the plan. That's not what
No,
you were expecting either.
yeah. And then, yeah, and then spreading her ashes and all of these things you go through. I can just speak for myself. Like, I mean, there is a part of you processing some of it, but you can only process so much of it
Yeah.
because it's just a lot to process. And
Yeah.
you've got life to live and you've got patients to see and you have another child to take care of
Right.
and you're also married. You just like things are happening. I would say that's more the details. The
Mm.
beautiful thing that came from that, all of those miscarriages, is I learned a physiological process that was happening in my body that I was not aware of.
Okay.
And I didn't even have all the knowledge base, like the medical knowledge base to be like, what do I do about this? But
Mm.
God gave me a dream. It was a very powerful dream. And in that dream, I still like blown away by the clarity of this dream. Like, honestly, it makes me feel like there is another world out there.
Yeah.
In this dream, I was the patient.
Okay.
So this is us. We've had one child and I just miscarried. And so we're wanting to conceive again. I think that's where we are in the story time frame. And I have a dream. And the dream is this: I am a patient, not the doctor. I'm the patient. So I have one of those, those robes they make you put on.
Yeah.
And the nurses are asking me to stand up. So I'm standing up, and the nurses keep on pointing to these charts. Like they take me from bedside to bedside, pointing to the chart, and they keep flipping the chart to the two labs that show the doctors about coagulation or clotting in the blood. So for my brain, like I know what that means. Like I know
Yeah.
what they're showing me, right?
Yeah.
So I get up like out of the dream and I'm like, oh my God, I'm clotting off these baby. That's what's happening. I'm clotting them off. I'm
Um,
clotting them. And so I was like, what do? I take a baby aspirin. That's what I do. So I went to the I just started taking a baby aspirin every day. And I find that so amazing. Again, didn't know the process of what was happening to me,
Yeah.
and neither did any doctor know, right? But had
Yeah.
the wherewithal to be open for a dream and follow again. So I started taking the baby aspirin. And there were a lot other things that need to happen as well to support the next baby coming through.
Yeah.
But just that brought me, in hindsight, what I learned about my own physiological process is called methylation, is something that I've now helped thousands of kids with in my
Mm.
pediatric practice,
Oh,
because
wow. Yeah.
methylation is something that happens in every cell of the body. So it affects every system of the body. So many kids who have come to me for support, I'm able to help support their methylation process and, in essence, help them heal. And I would have never had that
Hmm.
knowledge base or understanding had I not gone through that myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that I'm not a doctor, but I imagine that when you have your own experiences, it's, you treat those things differently than stuff you're not fully aware of, right?
Mm,
Like personally.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that in essence is a story. And then I think the other beautiful kind of full circle version of it is the second live born, our middle child. Her due date is the exact date that we lost the child the year
Oh,
before.
wow.
So I also think of that as just, there just wasn't the right vehicle. Here I come again.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And once the third was born, I was like, we are done. This is, I still go back to that moment, just her and I in the hospital room, just rocking her and being like, this is complete. Like, this is
Mm,
it. Yeah.
that. Was it really hard to work in the pediatrician space while going through all of those miscarriages and stuff?
Interesting. Not in my practice, because
Okay.
I felt like in my training, I, for a long time, wasn't married, obviously, didn't have children. So it wasn't part of that. In my personal life, absolutely raw,
Mm,
like for sure, when I would see
yeah.
friends. Yeah, just trusting the divine timing of it all, even
Yeah.
with marriage. Like, I was the last among my friends to get married, the
Mm,
last to, pretty much the last to have children, I think. So trusting the divine timing of it all, I think, is
yeah.
hard.
It's really hard, especially when you're in the midst of that stuff and you want it so badly. And
Hmm.
like you said, you get mad at God because you're like, what in the heck? Why? This is my timing. This is when I want it.
Yeah,
But oh, the divine timing of everything is a hard
of
thing to
everything. It's
trust.
very hard to accept.
It's easy to look back on after the fact and be
Mm,
like,
I
oh,
agree.
yeah, that makes sense. But in the moment, you're just like, ugh.
Come on already. Let's turn the page. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that I've learned from personal development, is the more you can integrate these ugly feelings when you get triggered, whether it's
Mm,
like you're getting activated or triggered when you're finally quiet and on vacation, which it
mhm.
sounds like for you, or if someone's irritating you.
Yeah.
When you start to really integrate, what is that really? The joke is, there is no other person out there. It's just mirrors of yourself.
Mm,
So when, when somebody's activating you in a good way, that's like expansion, like it all feels
yeah.
good. It's like mirroring part of yourself that you have fully integrated, that you have fully accepted. And
Yeah.
whenever you're like judging somebody or like irritated, I remember just recently I was on a plane ride. I was irritated with how loud this woman was. And I was like, do we need to be that loud?
Yeah.
And then I was starting to listen to the pattern. Like, I was deplaning, and I was like, there was someone else like just recently, and it was like their tone or their expression or their loudness. And even this morning in church, I was like, must you be that loud? And I'm actually like, my I get feedback that I'm rather loud. Like, when I'm animated, I'm like super loud, right? So, anyways, I'm like, what is this about this loud thing? And it's interesting because part of what I'm learning, like, as soon as I integrate that, as soon as I'm like, it's okay to be loud, it's like about expressing yourself. It's about, I'm okay to be heard,
Yeah.
versus the little inner girl who's, it's safer to be quiet, right? What if
Yeah.
it's safer to be heard?
That's really interesting.
It's really interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, when you start to pay attention to that stuff. Because I think yeah, I'm guilty of that stuff too, for sure. But now I'm going to pay better attention to why that stuff annoys me or certain things bother me or yeah. I think I do a little bit, but on a deeper
I
level.
think, to me, I think that's how we speed up divine timing, which I'm all into right now.
Mm,
Let's speed it up. Let's turn the page.
Yeah.
Um, let me not hiccup this myself. Let me learn the lesson. Let me integrate that part of myself that gets to be loud and expressive. Maybe it is safer to be seen, right? Maybe it is
Mhm.
safer to be heard. How do I know? I haven't really tried that on yet,
And that's all
right?
part of finding your authentic self and just being that and not really caring what other people think, right?
Which is indeed, I would say for sure. That's so snap. That's so good. Exactly. They did not give a rip.
Yeah. Yeah.
They didn't give a rip. Both these people that I'm thinking about, one this morning and one on that plane ride,
Yeah.
not at all. And so, what's great about that? Like, what's great about that is like they're authentically being themselves,
I think
you
that
know?
I might have some like jealousy towards that. And maybe that's part of the irritation of, oh, if I was in that position of, oh my gosh, this person's being so loud. But like you said, if they don't care and they're just being themselves, and then like I'm looking at that being like, but I was told to be quiet and not be that loud and be respectful of everybody around me. And then why do they get to do that and I don't? I bet you that's
Mm,
part of it too.
I agree. And I also think like at some point, whatever you've integrated something when you're neutral to it, when it's no big
Mm.
deal. And you'll know that because you'll be with people. Have you ever been somewhere and someone's getting super annoyed by some experience or super annoyed by somebody and you're like,
Mhm.
what's the problem? This is not a problem for me. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
It's because you've integrated that and they haven't.
Mm.
They've integrated something you haven't, I'm sure too. Like the flip could be there. That's what I think is so interesting.
Yeah.
To me, it's all just about integrating the parts of ourselves that we deem unacceptable or not enough or not approved by others. If we just keep integrating that and being like, it's okay. And also, yeah, I'm that, and I'm also this, and I'm also this, and I'm also that. And you just like,
Mm.
then you just speed up the timeline. That's my hallucination. Anyhow,
Yeah, well,
you
it would
don't
be
like stay in spiral and stuck, you
yeah.
know?
And it is nice to speed that timeline because, like, I keep with all this healing work that I've been doing in this point in my life, I wish I was doing some of this in my 20s, like, because I
Hmm.
want more time with the knowledge that I now have, the
Hmm.
that I am now, where it's, oh man, if I had known this stuff 10 years ago, it seems like life would have been easier moving forward.
Yeah, and wouldn't you say with all the inner work that you've done, like you've been doing it through therapy, and I've done the majority of mine through coaching, is you get peace. That's the game. So like to that friend who
Yes.
would be like, I don't want to feel that, I was like, do you want to feel peace?
Yes. And when you feel the peace, it's so worth it.
It's so worth it. It's
Mm.
like serene, it's euphoric.
Yeah, I find now I'm having a hard time holding on to that piece. Oh,
Correct.
you know,
Yeah.
find it and I feel amazing and I'm like, yes, this is it. And then something rocks my world and it's not even currently it's not even my own shit that's rocking my world. But then I'm like, oh man, but I had it and now how do I get it back?
By doing the same thing, right? To me, it's just like the spiritual reps, like going to the
Yeah.
gym. And recently, like these past couple of years have been particularly challenging for other people in my lives, but I've been a part of the leadership in it. And so it's been a lot. And I'm just like, if this spiritual test, I'm getting an A plus. So let's go. Like, let's
Yeah.
just go. Let's just keep doing the reps. Okay, what's next?
Yeah.
All right, I got that. What's next? Let's go. What's next?
And that's real life though, right? Like just because you healed, if you do find that peace and you feel like you've healed that part of you or that journey, there's always going to be something else. There's always the next
Yeah.
thing, whether it's the loss of a family member, whether it's a divorce or a whatever ends up happening. Life is life.
Yeah. I feel like experiencing my dad through end of life, one of the things he definitely taught me is it doesn't end until you physically leave this world, until you're
Yes.
fully integrated the spirit, right?
Mm.
Until then, you're still learning, you're still
Yeah,
sculpting your soul,
I know.
you're still being stretched and activated. And the game is really like, how can I be peaceful with that?
Yeah.
And that was, I remember his when they asked him when he transitioned to hospice, which was just like a week before he almost a week before he
Mhm.
physically passed, they said, what's your goal? What is your goal right now, would you say? And he said, to happily accept where I am, to
Oh,
happily accept where I am.
wow.
Yeah.
Which I think we all, as younger people, look at the end of life as a scary thing. Not everybody, but. And so to be able to get to that point and accept that and that you've lived your life and
Mm.
yeah, ooh, that's tough.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Is it? I
Yeah.
just, wow, that pretty much nails it, Dad. Good job. That's a
Yeah.
great goal.
Yeah.
And I believe he did. I believe he achieved that. And so to me, that's really the more we accept. If you think about any of those painful emotions, right? It's all because our expectations are not being met.
Yeah.
Whatever the expectation is, it's not being met. And that's why we're sad or mad or
Mm.
depressed or pissed or enraged because some expectation that we set for ourselves or set for somebody else was not met or
Mm.
is not being met. And so
Yeah.
it's okay. How can you flip that and accept what is, right?
Mm. How do you do that with people though that, like you're saying, someone else didn't meet your expectations or whatever, and like,
You, that's such a great question. I just recently threw that too with the rage because I was like, wow, this is rage. Holy cow,
okay.
this is what rage feels like. I was like, when it was happening, I was like, oh my gosh, this is what rage
Mm.
feels like. I,
Yeah.
like I really, you can figure out why like people kill people
Yeah.
enraged, right?
Yeah.
Enraged. And how I process through that one, because I think that's like a big emotion to process through, is first I used, have you ever heard of Byron Katie's The Work? It's a series of questions. It's basically emotional processing through journaling. You'll probably really like it if you just Google that because you're a journaler type
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
Byron Katie's The Work.
Byron.
And I chose that as my tool that day. I was like, I'm gonna do the work. Because I didn't, what's done is done. I couldn't change that. Something was done. And I was like, I felt like someone just stabbed me. And so I can't change that. I can't change that person's behavior of what they did.
I think that's what gets so infuriating about that because I know in my life, like, I just want everybody to live their best lives and be happy and love it. And obviously, I know that struggles are going to come up and stuff like that, but it's sometimes as the person on the outside, easier to look in and be like, if you just do this, like, if you just do these steps, you will be so much happier. And then when they don't even try, I think is when I find myself in that. And I'm just like, why don't you want to make your life better? Why don't you? But
Yeah.
it's not my life. It's not my control. That's not my,
I
those are my
think too
choices.
that the tool I would use for that definitely is unattachment. You can
Mm.
set your intention, but you unattach. Like you get to unattach
I am
yourself
totally
from
working through that with my therapist as we speak. That's the minute you said that, I was like,
uh
okay, if that's not another sign that I have an attachment problem. Okay.
yeah, like we get, and we all do, like I do it too. We get attached to result. We get attached to a timeline. We get attached to even emotions or even thoughts. Anyways, and a lot of that, like you've ever heard that saying, stop shoulding all over yourself
Mhm.
and all over people, right? Like
Yeah.
whenever it's like, you should. Anyways,
Yeah.
you can work through that. Byron Katie is the tool that I picked up. And I started writing the whole story. You should have never done that. You should have asked us. You should have. And when I got to the core of it, I was like, this person is stubborn. And then you get to mirror it back. And I'm like, oh my gosh, can I ever be stubborn? Yeah. I
Mhm.
think if you ask anyone I live with, they'd probably say, yeah, you can
Yeah.
be quite stubborn and stuck in your, because it's all a sense of feeling my need for certainty. And I like, so the way that you get out of it, I always say, like yesterday, I was not in a great mental state.
Mhm.
And my husband said, how can we change that? And I was like, it's like, I can change my perception of how I'm looking at the situation, or I'm looking at myself, or I can change my procedure. I can change what I do or what I say, or maybe what
Yeah.
I don't say. And so we don't get to blame
Yeah.
another person. We don't get to blame a situation. And most importantly, we don't get to blame ourselves, which is where most people that I work with, we go in a heartbeat. We are so hard on ourselves. We just beat ourselves
Yeah.
like with just bloody,
Yeah.
just so mean.
Yeah.
And but to answer your question for other people, what I did was I processed through that emotion of rage and figuring out what I learned in it is I get to express myself.
Yeah.
I get to express
Mhm.
myself. And so once I processed through, it took me like an hour and a half. It could take some time, like it's work. I got to a place of like peace of okay, this is the reality and I'm going to be okay. And then in the process of finding compassion, I would say that's where I was. So I was able to express myself in a text to this person because the person wanted to talk. And I said, I'm not in a position to talk right
Yeah.
now. So setting a boundary, right? I'm healing, not in a process to talk, I'm not in a position to talk right now. But, and expressing. And something I had said to that person in the texting encourage that person to forgive another person,
Oh.
which I'm like, I don't even know how that stuff happened. You know what I mean, Tawny? So
Yeah.
you just do your inner work, you set your boundaries, you be love in action, you love fiercely, compassionately, let love do the work. Because I felt like that's what happened. Love did the work. And
Mhm.
then the result was resolution. The
Yeah.
result was love.
Yeah. I love that. And going back a little bit to the blaming yourself thing, I think it's so much easier to blame ourselves than anyone else too, because it is us that we have control over and not other people. I guess some
Mm-hmm.
people blame everyone else, but I find with myself, it's easier to beat myself up than it is to, because I feel like, oh, I could have done this or I could have done, should have, all of those things.
Yeah. Coulda, shoulda, would have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah.
And it is a way to meet a need.
Yeah.
What need do you think you're meeting when you go to self beat up?
Oh God.
Of certainty,
Mhm.
variety, loving connection, significance.
I don't know. I don't know. I might have to dive deeper into that one. But
I would say probably it meets a need for connection. You connecting to yourself is not an empowering way to connect with yourself,
true. Yeah.
but you are connecting with yourself.
Mm.
It's like you wonder, why do people stay in unhealthy relationships?
Yeah.
Like many of us know, I would just, yeah, like people who are in abusive relationships, not healthy. And you're like, why do they stay there?
Yeah.
What need is being met? There's certain of what happens in this relationship,
Yeah.
and it is a form of connection.
Yeah.
I would not say love, I would say
Yeah.
connection, belonging to someone, even though it's a disempowering
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of times when we get into the self beat up, we're in an unhealthy relationship with ourselves.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's probably true.
We know how to get there in a heartbeat. We've done it a million times before,
Yeah. And it's a
right?
pattern.
And it's a pattern.
Mm.
So it's like, what would be? It was really cute. It was mirrored to me today. I volunteer in church school, like not as the leader. I'm like the I'm like, let me be on the side. I'll be like the student a little bit older.
Yeah.
Anyways, was really reflecting to me about I'm proud of myself. I heard this person say like numerous times, I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself. But I never say that to myself, Don.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you, Sue. Huh. What if you started saying that? What would shift?
Yeah.
Your
That's a good one. I had a situation a couple years ago with my husband where we were actually fighting, and um, it was small context. We were in a Spanish speaking country, and I get embarrassed about my Spanish because I don't want to say the dumb stuff. I don't want to sound like an idiot,
yeah.
and so I get embarrassed to like even do anything. So I end up making him do all the communicating because he doesn't care. And he really wanted me to just go ask the front. I think I just needed to ask the front desk something simple of the hotel. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it. And we end up in this fight. And I don't understand why you're nervous about this. And he said to me, he goes, you're smart. And I realized that I had not heard that or said that to myself. I don't even remember the last time someone told me I was smart. And I definitely never told myself that. So it was one of those moments where I was like, I just, I started like breaking down and crying because of not even the fight anymore. I was like, oh my God, I don't remember the last time someone said that to me. So that was one of those moments like that where I was just like, Oh, so I've tried to in my journaling and my affirmations and stuff like that. Since then, I've been trying to be like, I am smart. I am, and that's part of it.
I
The
love that. That's
stuff.
one of mine too. Like one of
Mm,
my things is that I'm dumb.
mm,
And I'm like, where do you come up with that? It's really interesting. Like the story is because like I went to a mid-tier med school, right? Like it
mm.
wasn't a top tier, it was a mid-tier. And so to me, it's that's mid. Or
Yeah.
I didn't get in college and undergrad. This is like a much longer, funnier story, but in essence, figured out that I thought I was an A minus student because to me, it's like you're still in the A range. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And the reality is like the card, like the transcript is like you're a B plus.
Oh my
Like you're a B
gosh, I did
plus.
the same thing with high school. I was like,
You're a B plus.
for so long, I kept telling everybody I was a BC student in high school. I was a BC student. And then my mom recently gave me my transcripts because she was going through all her stuff. And I was like, oh my God, there were so many more D's on this report card than I thought there were. So,
That is, yeah, that's so funny. So I think I've always come up with I'm not smart because I'm clearly B plus and
mm,
also mid-tier med school, right? And then I went on a walk. I was like processing that whole B plus thing because my daughter and their A's, like same university, like
mm,
A, right? And she's like giving my own medicine back. She's, what are you making this mean? What are you talking about? Look what you're doing. The
mm,
whole, look what you're, what you are in the world. It doesn't even
yeah.
matter, right?
Yeah.
Like she's giving me the own medicine back. And I went on a walk and I was like giving myself my own medicine. I was like, what meaning are you creating from this? Like, why is this so important or whatever? And you know what? I feel like God gave me another vision. And I came up with first gave me words B plus brilliance.
Ooh, I
It's like
like
you're
that.
B plus brilliant,
Yeah.
right? I was like, okay. And then I kept walking, and the funniest story in my mind came up, and it was me in residency. I had been a first year resident in pediatrics. So when you're a first year, you have senior residents looking over you because everything's tiered. And then you have an attending over that. So everything's tiered. So my senior resident comes in and says, Sue, I want you to go see this patient on the floor. It's like a new admit. She's from Africa. She has malaria,
Mm,
and there was no adult with her. I didn't remember why. And so I walked into the room. He came with me. And this guy is the epitome of smart. He's like the intellectual smart. Like you ask him anything about malaria, he's going blah, 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 blah.
wow.
He's just going to know it. And I'm going to be like, malaria, let me look that up.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm,
And so we went into the exam room, into the hospital room, and there was this little bright, shining little girl. She's probably like three, sitting up, 2 to 3, doesn't speak our language,
yeah.
and is all alone. And apparently, unbeknownst to me, I didn't know this senior resident had already gone in and tried to examine, but she wouldn't allow it. Like she
Oh,
would break down and cry, and it was like too. And so he's watching me, which is kind of pressure filled. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you've got someone like hanging out. I'm like, can I just do this on my own? I'd be fine.
Yeah. Can
You're
you leave the
over my
room so
shoulder.
I can just do my thing?
Let me just do my thing. And I did my thing. And never a peep, never a cry,
Mm,
completely comfortable. And we walked out. And I remember him saying to me, how did you do that?
mm,
I'm like, do what? I had no idea what I just did.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was on this walk and I was like, Sue, that's B plus brilliance. That is B plus brilliance right there.
Yeah.
You know enough, you can look stuff up. And to me, it's okay. So what if you're smart, but you're smart in a different way? What if you're
Yeah.
emotionally smart?
Yeah.
Because I do feel very emotionally smart. Like I'm emotionally intelligent. Like I can
Yeah.
read a room, I can read a person, I can feel it. Like I just felt that little girl and I don't even realize I'm doing it. It's just
Yeah.
happening. And so that's a big thing. I love someone recently was showing me just put what if in front of it. So like sometimes when people say I am smart, they may be consciously saying it, but their subconscious is totally that's BS.
Mm,
No, you're not. So you can put what if in front of it. What if I am smart?
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. So I want to talk about I feel like we could just keep talking about all this deep stuff for forever. This is so great. But I do want to talk about your coaching a little bit more. For people who are listening, what does that look like to work with you? Is it one-on-one? Is it group stuff? And then if people want to work with you, how do they reach out?
Yeah. So, well, to reach out is through my website,
Okay.
drsuemccreadie.com. So I'm sure you'll share a link of that.
Yep,
And
that'll be in the
then
show notes.
in terms of, yeah, like how I work with women, my favorite way is through group coaching, which is a
Okay.
membership. So it's a membership that has a community off social media. So we're connected off of social and online. And it's group coaching once monthly, like we get together and we everything like we're doing right now. It's just, yeah. Also set in terms of numerology, because I use a lot of tarot numerology to give the broader scope of like the energies and the shifts that we're moving through. And then also to do it, I think of it as how a psychologist or psychiatrist would hold up that ink blot test and be like, what do you see? What do
Yeah.
you see? If
Yeah.
you get a whole group of women saying, what do you see? It's amazing. Everybody sees a little
Mm,
something different.
yeah.
And it gives you a lot of insight. It's like a mirror into the subconscious. So there's group coaching, community, and rituals. I call them rituals. They're like little mini workshops that you can do online where I'm coaching you through emotional healing, in essence, healing that inner child. And so that's all through the membership. So we do
Okay.
that through the membership. And also, I work with women one on one, so one on one coaching.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I love to write. Writing is healing for me. So I have a blog that's
Okay.
either free or paid. And yeah, I write.
Are you going to write a book?
I am going to write a book.
Yay!
I don't yet know what it's going to be. I haven't
Mm,
aligned with it yet,
yeah.
but I do know that I'm going to write a book. So that's exciting too.
Yeah. We'll look forward to that. I definitely want to read that when that comes out. Oh man. Sue, this has been amazing. I feel like we could go for another hour easily.
I agree. We definitely could, Tawny. This has been so
Yeah.
fun. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Thank you
you
for
so
having
much.
me.
Do you have any parting words for my listeners? We've had some great
Hmm.
nuggets in here already, but what do you want to leave everybody with?
Remember when we were talking about crappy questions lead
Yeah.
to crappy answers, lead to crappy stories and crappy strategy? It's like, it's all just crap. It is actually, because it's all limiting belief systems,
Yeah.
or what I call like protective belief systems. They kept you safe up until now,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But I think a great question to unhook from that pattern is ask the question of what would love do?
Ooh.
Because I do believe our natural essence is love, like
Mm,
our natural state of being. That's why it feels good when we're in a loving, joy filled, peace filled state.
yeah.
We're embodying love, like we're feeling, emanating, being love. And that's why it feels so good. And also why it feels so bad when we're not in those. Like rage, not comfy.
Mm,
Great emotion. You can learn a lot from it if you process it. Like there's every emotion, there's a message and something to be processed through, but
yeah.
you don't want to hang out and rage all the time. That'd be pretty.
Yeah.
So when we ask that question, to me, it activates the part of us that is love, that already knows what love would do. What would love say? How would love be in this moment? And it's a great, what we call pattern interrupt. Like, what would love do? So I have women who like post it around their house. What would
Oh,
love do? It's a great thing, like to use, with children too, or anyone who comes to you and has, what do I do, Tawny? This is so
mm,
hard. What do I do? And to now point, like even my clients or my kids will be like, Mom, don't say it. Don't say it. I'm like, I'm gonna say it. I am. It's like, what
yeah.
would love do? Because everybody knows what love would do. And by the way, love isn't all love can set some pretty fierce boundaries. Like love can say no.
Yeah.
Maybe love would pick up the phone and finally forgive somebody,
Mm,
right?
uh,
Maybe love would ask for some presence. I need some space right now. I
yeah.
love you, and also I need some space.
Yeah.
Maybe love would be like, I'm going to need to go look at a cloud right now. You
Mm,
just need to go sit. You need to take a nap. Love would go take a nap.
yeah.
There's so many endless possibilities. I feel
Mm,
like when we activate that part of ourselves, we really know what we get to do. And if we follow it, if we follow love's lead, we're going to get to that peace filled state that we want to
yeah.
be in.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Elizabeth Gilbert's Letters from Love?
Yes.
That's what you're reminding me of right now because she talked a lot about
Uh,
writing herself, like letters from love to herself.
to
And
herself.
yeah, it's so good. But yeah,
Yeah,
that,
that would be such a great practice.
yeah.
Yeah, that would be a beautiful practice. Yeah, because yeah, what would love say? Love would say,
Mhm.
"You're smart, Tawny."
Yeah. So are you, Sue.
Yeah, like
You're-
love would say, "I'm proud of you." Oh,
Yes, I'm proud of you.
so
That's a good one. I'm gonna add that to
I'm
my
proud of you.
affirmations.
Yeah,
Oh, thank you so much, Sue. I'm so glad we had this conversation. Thank
me
you for
too.
everything you've shared, and thank you for everything you're doing in the world. And thank you
Mm,
so much for getting vulnerable on here. Anybody who is
absolutely.
watching, there were tears.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you going there and being vulnerable, and I don't take that lightly. So thank you so much for doing that with us. And then I will link all the ways to get a hold of you in the show notes. So if anybody wants to work with you on your coaching, I will send them your way.
Aw, thank you. Thank you so much, Tawny. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, it has. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll see you on the next episode.